Data-driven insights for serious traders. As the closing bell approaches, momentum is analyzed, tomorrow's key price levels highlighted, and the setups that matter most broken down. This is Trading the Close with Verified Investing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trading the Close. My name is Drew Dosick. Guys, today in the market, we saw the NASDAQ lead the way down. Now, it wasn't a huge crash, but down over 1% in the NASDAQ. The spiders really seeing some selling pressure. But really, guys, this was foreshadowed in yesterday's show when I was talking about PLTR and also displaying Amazon, how it was weak after getting a big pop-up from the OpenAI partnership. All right, so we're going to look at these stocks and some charts here in a moment. But first, let's get into the market summary board to see where everything is panning out. We see here the Dow Jones down 0.55%. NASDAQ, as I said, leading the way down 1.84%. S&P 500 down 1.26%. U.S. oil down 1.07%. Gold down 1.57%, back under that $4,000 mark. And then the real story on the crypto front, Bitcoin down, reaching under $100,000 briefly, not that long ago, within the last half hour to an hour, now bouncing back up slightly, but still down 5.57% on the day. All right, so let's get into the S&P 500 heat map, and we've got a lot of red on the big players, not as much in finance or health and technology or even in retail trade, except for Amazon, down 1.9%. Tesla, biggest loser of the day in the mega caps, down 4.91%. Meta down 1.72%. Oracle 4.34%. Palantir, after better than ever earnings reports, down 8.58%. You can see other tech stocks all leading the way down. CRM down 2.68%, APP 3.69%. And we get over here, AVGO down 3% and ANET down 2.96%, Qualcomm down 4.41%. What's AMD going to do for earnings today with this tech bloodbath that we see here with a lot of investors taking profits? And it was truly highlighted by what happened right there on Palantir's chart. So we're going to get into that here in a little bit later too. But first up, let's look at the S&P 500 price now plunging back down into this parallel channel. And you know what, folks, we've been focusing on the SPY now for at least a few weeks to a month, mainly because this parallel was a very clean parallel moving up, capturing all of price action since 2020. But let's look at the SPX real quick. So now we've got this established. The spiders, we will be coming into support right on top of all of this price action, right around $672.69. But as I said, let's check out the SPX real quick. As we see here with the SPX, we've had dueling parallels going on here, where we had a longer-term parallel established here from November of 2023, followed by this more narrow, sharper inclining parallel on the SPX, which if you notice, price action was bubbling up and getting inside of, and then today now declining back down. So look at this, though, on the weekly time frame. And what do we see here, folks? That's a weekly topping tail. And not only that, if you count these candles, we've got an exact 30 time counts straight up on the charts. Guys, if you don't know time counts, we have a great opportunity for you. I've created an educational course for it called Mastering the Overnight Trade, the Sleeper Hold. Plus, Gareth discusses it and dives deep into it with his Winning Trader series. And both of these courses are going to be on sale later this month. It's going to be an awesome early Christmas present for you. So please take note, understand how time counts work. And this was a beauty right here displayed on the chart, highlighted by a narrow body bar on the weekly time frame right up there on the top of the charts. And say, all right, so I'll flip back on that parallel, but flip back over to the SPY just to clearly show that, guys, we're coming right back in on the SPY, at least for now. Now, guys, understand this too. We're still up 15% on the S&P 500 this year. So just this little selling pressure is causing ripples in the markets, causing a lot of people to have some fear. But guys, we're still up so much. It makes sense we have some sort of drawback and then continue moving forward. Obviously, a lot of froth is in the markets and needing to get cut out. Here we see here on the NASDAQ, the QQQ, we do have price action moving lower on the charts. As I said, it did lead the way down on the markets today, the tech sectors pulling down on the charts. There could still be a little bit more downside pressure, especially if we have some earnings pulling price down on big players like AMD. We see here support level $612.69, followed by $593.83. All right, next up, we've got the SMH, and the SMH leads the way, folks. But where is it leading us today? Straight down, 3.64%, not filling this gap, but that doesn't really matter. I still think their price action needs to come down, retest the top end of all of this consolidation that occurred at the beginning of October. That area is going to be under $350, around $346.90. But still, beautiful sell-off. Also notated by the time count sleeper hold setup, guys. It's all in the charts. We don't really have to guess too much. As we've noted every day during this show, folks, I go through daily. Where's this price going? Coming up a little bit, that implies this. Or now probabilities shift to this side. Every single day, these candles give us a boatload of data that we can now interpret and decide where we're going to be going on the next day and the next week and the next month for price action. So very cool stuff to see as it does play out. Next up, the IWM. Now, this is a little bit more concerning near term for the IWM. We've had Jerome Powell come out, be a little bit more hawkish about rate cuts in December. That's not been the best of situations for small cap stocks that mainly are not profitable and rely on borrowing money to stay afloat. So what's happened today, we've had price action now confirm a breakdown underneath this blue parallel channel. Now, one thing I do note, and we've said this on the show too many times, what happens when price breaks a significant trend line? Well, it often likes to go right back up and retest that trend line. Notice that we're finishing too with a time count moving down. We did have a doji candle earlier in the day and more selling pressure hit. So we'll see if the selling pressure will actually extend into tomorrow, but we're getting extended to a point where I wouldn't be surprised to see a small bounce up on the small cap stocks and then a continued sell down here to 237.33 cents. All right, next up, guys, Bitcoin, the big story of the day. Price action finally getting outside of this longer-term inclining parallel channel that has contained price for the majority of 2025. Price action tested the $100,000 mark, and as I anticipated, price action did get a quick bounce off of it, but it's not a steep bounce, folks. If you look here on the 10-minute chart too, notice when price came down to that declining trend line, we pierced it, came right back up, tested it again, tried to get above, then ended up breaking lower, then retested, and then retested again before selling off further. Again, that declining trend line highlighted right here from the May 2025 high, connected down through the other pivots in July. And that clearly shows that that was an area of contention today, but the selling pressure just took off. And it took off because of what happened with Ethereum. Now, yes, we have risk-off scenarios with AI being under more scrutiny with their profitability in the long run, having those plays really run off the charts, literally just boasting off the charts. But then now we also have got a problem with Ethereum being hacked, putting $100 million and actually even more potentially stolen on their network, which is definitely bringing more questions into the security regarding decentralized finance options. So we'll get into that, as I said, here in just a moment. Next up, we've got gold. Now, gold, as you see here, has been coming down on the charts, putting in bearish consolidation right on top of this support, all buried beneath these candles that you see here. Support $3,918.52. Once and if this bearish consolidation breaks, we're headed right back down here to the top of the parallel at $3,754. Next up, silver. Not too much to report here. Still consolidating on top of 46.79. Would have been better had price perked up today for any bulls on silver and stayed up in the top range of this other green candle. But today we're retesting the bottom of that support. Now that's 2 and 3 hits of the support level, telling me that we're actually starting to shift probabilities more so a downward move in silver to 44.26, simply because we're tagging the support level so often and so frequently. Next up, we've got U.S. oil. Now, U.S. oil did have a down day, over 1% today, but it's still consolidating right here underneath this declining trend line. Now, one thing that gives me a little bit of concern regarding this consolidation, this red candle moved down, and the predominant days of closing price action down here near the bottom of that red candle. We had one candle here on Monday, yesterday, close up higher, which was giving oil hope for a potential breakthrough. But now we've got 4 days now closing down near the bottom of this red candle. That's now shifting probabilities slightly for a little bit of a move down before potentially attacking this trend line. We'll see where price action takes us tomorrow. If we start closing in the top range of this red candle, then that also could start switching probabilities. But right now, all in all, we're just consolidating underneath that resistance trend line, very closely monitoring where price will go there on oil. Next up, we've got nat gas. Now, nat gas, as you see here, tagged this resistance line today at $4.45. Nat gas has had a great run, folks. You see here down since the end of August, has moved up from $2.74 all the way up here, nearly 60% gain, sitting here at 59.76% gain since the end of August. That's a little too fast in moving up in price action, extending prices we see here on the daily time frame, overbought in the 74 range on the relative strength at the bottom of the screen. And notice that we're approaching 70 here on the weekly time frame too, also implying overbought in the near term. Yes, could we come up and hit that resistance level again? We could, but I think in the near term, we're about done on moving up on that gas. We'll see if I'm wrong when we look at that chart tomorrow, folks, but I think we need to have a little bit more of a pullback, potential play ping pong in between the support of 408 followed by 445, gain momentum again before considering moving higher on the charts. But right now, a little bit extended and needing a pullback. All right, next up, Ethereum. Now, guys, this is where a lot of the news took place. As I said, over $100 million has been hacked and stolen off of Ethereum network in the last week. Now, that brings, think about this, folks. Just in 2025, there's been over $2 billion stolen in cryptocurrency. So that's raising a lot of concerns. A lot of companies this year have really started their companies with the whole basis on mining Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin. A lot of those companies have transitioned and then pivoted into getting into AI data center plays also. They know that this with Bitcoin, we have volatility. And then also now coming into scrutiny a little bit more is the security of these cryptocurrencies. Nobody wants to dump hundreds of thousands of dollars into their account, into their brokerage, and then or their exchange, and then have it wiped out. Nobody wants that. So why are people going to be investing millions of dollars in some of these unless we can start getting better security, which also calls for regulation? And we don't have any of that discussion right now, but that could be something that develops with all of these hacks that are hacking into cryptocurrency blockchains. So let's see this. So, all right, so we got the Ethereum now breaking this level of support at $3,500. Next level of support is actually right here where we're at, guys. Right here, you can see consolidation back in January of 2025. We do have a small little pivot right here, as well as consolidation, just about 3,000. So this support range, right around $3,100 down to $3,000 is the current support on Ethereum. Should that break, we're coming down here to $2,700 on the chart, followed by $2,500. And I can show you this longer term trend line. This goes all the way back here to June of 2022, extended all the way through the charts. So you better believe if price continues to plunge down here, this would be an ideal Goldilocks, most conservative area to be picking up Ethereum. Because I think once Ethereum does have its security in check, we're likely going to be headed right back up on the charts of Ethereum. But a great opportunity here to pick some Ethereum up on discount. Again, they need to qualify by getting more secure networks. Next up, we're looking at Palantir. Now, guys, we did cover this yesterday after our earnings. Price action accelerated to the top of this parallel, but then declined sharply. And it did so because, again, folks, people are starting to become more wary of the AI investment and the AI narrative driving home all this revenue. Now, yes, Palantir is up tremendously this year, folks. You can see here from the low in 2025, even with the most recent decline, we're up now around 200% on Ethereum. So it's, or pardon me, on Palantir. So it's a great move, but we need to start having some profit taking. Even though this was the best earnings they ever reported, the price action is coming right back down on the chart, showing that this AI play is near-term exhausted. It was displayed yesterday on the Amazon chart, which continued plunging even further. And then next up, we've got AMD having earnings after the bell today. And you see here, AMD has got a longer term inclining parallel channel where price most recently surged and broke through with all of their good news and development after this huge push up from the $164 range. So now we're starting to have price action at least pause up here at the top of the charts. And will earnings then push it higher? So far, we've got a couple dollar drop. First, and I would not play this, first area of support that I'm going to be watching is $241.61. And if that area breaks, AMD is vulnerable to come all the way back down here to $200. So be watching very closely what the earnings provide for us after hours today. Next up, the biggest loser in the mega caps today is Tesla. Tesla, as you see, down 5.21%, led the way down, but it's all just getting rejected right here by this resistance level at $457.27. Notice this big red candle on October 2nd. That's the one candle giving me a little bit of concern about this momentum continuing to push up to the eventual measured move up here at $512. That is derived from an inverse head and shoulders pattern that you see here on the chart, highlighted in blue. So if this red candle prevails and pushes price down, notice price didn't close above it most recently on price action yesterday. But if this red candle holds, pushes price down, next support just under $400 at $395.17, followed by $381.37. Keep in mind that still would not negate the potential measured move up here at $512.97. So what I'm seeing here on Tesla is any sort of drawbacks could be buying opportunities for a longer, potentially medium-term swing trade on Tesla to eventually reach over $500. We'll see how that plays out. Next up, we've got Hertz. Hertz reported earnings. Guys, check this out. Earnings per share up 267% and a surprise revenue beat by 3.53%. Where did price go today? Easy to distinguish, right on a declining trend line that you see here on the chart. Got pierced and then quickly retreated back down post-market, now trading at $6.65. So great move on Hertz. And really, I want to highlight this pattern. Notice over here from April, we had a huge move up, and then we've had a lot of consolidation sideways. It's even cleaner to see on the weekly time frame. When you back up, you can start taking away a lot of the movements up and down, and it condenses into weekly candles that are easier to interpret from a technical point of view, and they're easier to understand patterns as well. But if you notice this is a big bull flag, implying that Hertz is trying to break out. And if it does break out of this current declining trend line, we're going to be moving up to $9.29, followed by potentially up here at $15. That's more than 100% increase moving up that far. So we'll see if that happens. Mainly for bulls on Hertz, you need to be watching this declining trend line very carefully. Currently in the next couple of days, just over $7. If we beat that, man, we've got a great shot of continuing higher on Hertz. Next up, Micron. Now, Micron, as you see here, and this was a viewer request. So thank you guys also for the comments. It means so much. Whether they're good or bad, I don't care. We're going to make this show better. We're going to give you guys a lot of charts you want to see, just like this one on Micron. All right, so let's get into this chart and see what's going on. We've got a pivot that occurred back here in June of 2025. I extended a trend line along to the very next significant pivot on Monday, October 6th. As you can see here, most recently, price has been fighting to get above. It confirmed above here on October 29th, then retested this trend line, like what trend lines like to do once they break and confirm. They like to retest. Got a great springboard bounce here on Monday, but then simply reversed it all today. Nasty sell right here, bringing us right back down underneath this inclining trend line. So if further selling persists, which this does imply, again, another sleeper hold time count right up to the top of the charts. Guys, this happens over and over and over again. It's so helpful to understand some of this insight so that at least you can be wary and not buy this up here when it's getting extended, because these rug pulls do occur. As you can see here, 234 right now down to 218. Next support's going to be down here at $208.50. All right, guys, that wraps up Trading to Close. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And then plus, I've got another great service for you with my cycles courses, the GAN Cycle Report. Please check this out. It's a new service where I'm teaching you a lot of the insight I've learned from WD GAN and how he forecasts where price action will go. A famous person, JP Morgan, you might have heard of him, said millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires do. And in this course, you're going to learn what billionaires have learned for hundreds of years. All right, guys, or at least over 100 years to the beginning of the 20th century. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have more info tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Until then, you guys, I'll see you on the charts. Take care.